Nick Starr always manages to piss people off by the way he uses technology. He was the first gay man to be outed on a podcast, and then he was the first person to post on Twitter he was going to commit suicide. It got him a lot of attention, not all of it good. Now he's become the face of Glassholes, people who obnoxiously insist on wearing Google Glass at public spaces despite people's objections.
Are we making too much of a fuss over wearable technology? Listen as Nick Starr talks with us about his experience with Google Glass, his very public battle with folks who thinks it's a terrifying combo of man and machine, and is Nick just another broken soul using technology to get attention?
Plus, fans of RuPaul's Drag Race launch a petition to never have Chaz Bono on the show again.
A young man sues X-Men director Bryan Singer for allegedly sexually abusing him as a teenager.
And Fox remakes Joe Millionaire, where 12 women are fooled into thinking Prince Harry is dating them for realsies on reality TV. I'm Fausto Fernos.
I'm Mark Fillion.
And this is Feast of Fun.
This is Nick.
Hi, Nick Starr. This is Fausto Fernos.
And Mark Fillion, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing well. Are we talking to you through your eyewear?
No.
It's called Google Glass.
I just said Google Glass. Your eyewear, Google Glass.
Eyewear. It's a computer,
But
right?
it's also a phone, too, no?
It's technically running Android, so it would be considered a phone, I would believe.
Where are you right now? Are you at home? Are you at work?
I'm at home.
Okay, and you're wearing your Google Glasses 24 hours a day, like when you sleep?
Not when I sleep, no.
Because if you roll over, you're going to break them.
Exactly.
How much did you pay for them?
I paid $1,500 plus tax, plus I had to fly to LA to get them as well.
Oh, really? They wouldn't just ship them to you? You had to, like, show up in person?
Yeah, I was one of the first wave of people, and they wanted you to come to the base stations in LA, San Francisco, or New York and pick them up and experience that, talking to a glass guide and whatnot, and have them set it up for you.
So it was like Google Glass Camp.
Pretty much, yeah, for about an hour or so.
And when was the first time you ever heard the term Google Glasshole?
I think it was originally posted on TechCrunch about a year or so ago.
So, but it wasn't like you were at the camp and some people were making puns and saying like, the Google Glass is half full.
No. So they...
No.
So there was no puns. So what was your initial reaction when you first put them on and actually experienced it face to face?
I think I had watched every single video on YouTube and read every single article, so I was really already ready for what I was going to be experienced. But like, I think it's one of the most next step products, to come since the iPhone.
Well, what do you actually use it for?
On a daily basis, I send a lot of text with it and send and receive text with it. I get driving directions a lot around, just because it's a lot easier to be looking out towards the road than to be looking down at your phone in the cup holder for directions.
So how do you send a text through it? Just for the listeners that out there that aren't aware of it, do you speak to your eyeglasses and it sends a text that way?
Yeah, you speak to it and you interact with it with the touchpad on the side. So to send a text, I would just say, okay, I would tap it, and then I would say, okay, Glass, send a message to Brian Street. I love you. I'll see you after work.
Oh.
Do you go to the gym?
I just restarted going to the gym, yes.
Do you wear your Google Glasses at the gym?
Yes, I do, but not in the locker room. I put them on my forehead when I go to the locker room or take them off. But there is a couple of fitness apps called Lynx Fit and Strava Run as well that are personal trainer apps that work with Google Glass and like help you with your workout and help you like work out better.
Because I could tell you there's a couple of times at the gym that I wouldn't mind spying on some guys and taking some unlicensed photos of them. Have you ever been tempted to like be like, hey, this guy's really hot. Let me take a picture of him.
No, I have a partner now and I don't really do that. So, but no, whenever I go into a bathroom anywhere or somewhere that where there might be nudity, especially like a locker room, I put them on my forehead and or take them off completely.
So when you were at that cafe and you got into the news recently, because they asked you, what was it?
The waitress asked you to take them off because it was against the regulations.
It was the owner, right?
No, it was the night manager.
Okay.
We had been there 7 other times before, and we had no problems. Some of the staff had even tried it on and used it.
So the manager of this restaurant asked you to take the Google glasses off or leave, and you said, no, I'll leave.
Well, they said that it was their policy, and then I knew that that restaurant, that cafe, had a relationship, I didn't know what it was, with the 5 Point Cafe, which notoriously banned Google Glass in Seattle before it even came out.
Oh.
So I said, well, if it's a policy and if it's the same, if you guys have the same relationship, it would be posted on their Facebook or posted somewhere. And she said, well, it's a new policy, and you just can't. So I just thought she was talking out her ass and making the decision for herself and not based on the decision that the owner had made. So
that sounds fair. Did the other waiters or waitresses, offer like, well, she let me wear them last time I was here? Did you ever? I mean, did you say that or?
Yeah, I said that. I said we've been here a number of other times and had no incidents and whatnot. And I'm like, I just want to come in and have something to eat.
So if you're comfortable taking your Google Glass off when you go to the bathroom or you go to the gym, why was it so important for you to keep it on or to stand your ground in this instance?
Well, it was more the fact that they didn't want my business because I had Google Glass.
Oh, okay.
And therefore, I ended up leaving quietly. It wasn't this big, huge harumph or anything. I didn't yell we didn't even, no one even at the table next to us knew that we were having the conversation we were having. So Brian and I left and, we walked out, and the next day I posted on Facebook what happened and then
asked for her to be fired.
Well, at the time there wasn't there wasn't an official policy. And I said, if she was wrong, and she lost the company money, then she should get in trouble. I mean, if any employee does that, if you screw up at McDonald's and you lose the company money, you should get in trouble.
And it was because that's how you responded, and that's why it became big news, because people were like, oh, here's Nick Starr, famous for being, an asshole on the internet, is at it again.
Right, and it was just the way that it was worded and the way it was phrased that came across wrong, I guess, and not how I meant it. And I think that really drew away from the privacy issue, the discussion about class, the discussion about, technology and all that. And it made it about me and her and as opposed to what the story should have been, about, what are the rights of a business owner and what are privacy issues and all that kind of stuff that that the conversation should have gone to.
But if you are someplace public and someone asks you to take it off, do you usually comply?
If I'm out in the public, there's no reason that I should.
So you stand your ground 99% of the time, except when you go to a bathroom.
Yeah, I mean... Okay.
So like at an airport security area where I think recording devices are not permitted.
Right.
Do you take it off when you get on an airplane? Or
just through the security there, because they have to scan it. So
make sure there's not a bomb on it.
Exactly. Right.
It's kind of ironic, though, because here you're being videotaped and spied on by the government, and yet this device that allows you to, videotape and surveil other people is not it's prohibited.
Well, not only there at the airport, but at that cafe, there were 5 cameras pointed at customers. And who's to say what that business owner is going to do with that footage and video versus what I'm going to do with it, even though I wasn't recording in the first place,
Well, I guess people trust that governments and businesses will be a little more ethical than an angry person or who's going to be. I guess that they rather have them spying on you than masturbating towards you.
Well,
I think, seriously, I think that behind people's fear of the individualization of surveillance, which is really what this is all about here, is that individuals are going to use this for sexual purposes and not, political or blackmailing purposes.
If you're going to use something or take photos for a nefarious purpose, it doesn't matter what technology you have. There's people who've been doing it for years, and there are people who are going to be doing it for years to come. If you're that type of person, it doesn't matter if you have glass, a spy cam, your cell phone, whatever, you're going to find a way.
How easy is it with Google Glass to take hidden pictures or videotape people without them knowing?
At the time of when I was at the cafe, the only 2 ways to take a picture were to tap it, say, okay, Glass, take a picture, and be looking at the person you're taking the picture of. Or there's a little shutter button on the top of the thing that you have to physically touch. It kind of looks like a shutter button on a camera. And then it takes the picture as well. When you do take a picture, the screen lights up and you're looking at the person. So if they're looking at you, they see the little screen flash. So now they've implemented an experimental feature where you can wink to take a picture. I don't like that. I don't use it. And it's just experimental because they do have a sensor looking at your eye all the time on the glass unit. So,
well, how do we know you're not using it though? Just because you say so, or?
Well, like I said, anytime you're looking at me, you'd see if the prism was lit up.
Okay. So it's part of it is,
anytime I'm using it, if I'm looking for directions, if I'm texting, if I'm doing anything, the prism's lit up. Plus, on top of it, it only records for 45 minutes straight. So, it's not, I'm not walking around recording everyone all the time. I couldn't. The battery doesn't, work for that.
Because it is like the first iPhone. It only lasts 2 hours. Or what's the battery life on that thing?
On the original iPhone, I think it had like 4 hour.
Isn't that pathetic? And we all fell for it.
I was first in line. I was there.
We all had the first fucking iPhone.
You had an iPhone that was disabled for voice, right? You just had you lied and told them you were deaf.
Oh yeah, I had a tech deaf plan. Now I'm on this like T-Mobile $30 a month plan where I only get 100 minutes, but I get like 5 gigs of data.
Have you heard about this app where you are able to superimpose your face on the person you're having sex with so you can have sex with yourself?
With glass or just in general?
With glass, yeah.
Oh, I don't think that's the concept. I think it's you both wear glass and you both see the video that the other person's streaming so that you get what they're seeing.
Oh, it's camera in camera.
Yeah.
But for real life.
Yeah.
So, do you feel that we spend too much time looking at our cell phones or like, because there's all this, there's this new ad on TV that these 2 girls are like, oh my God, texting is so much fun. And they're driving and then a truck comes and kills them both.
I think that if you look around and you just stand back and look at a city downtown somewhere, you'll see people in this hunched over position where their neck's kind of down and their hands are in front of them and they're on their phones. They're texting, they're doing something. They're not looking in the world. With glass, you're looking straight ahead. You're still doing the things you need to do, text and email and stuff like that, but you're engaged in the world around you and you're not going to slam into, the person walking in front of you.
So you're saying that the interface helps reduce accidents?
I would think so. I mean, a lot of people say the glass would be distracting when you're driving for turn-by-turn directions and whatnot. I don't have a car. I use Zipcar and all these car services. So they don't have GPS in them. So I have to put my phone in the cup holder and get directions that way. And a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
So is it better for me to be constantly looking downwards outside of the windshield into the car at my phone, or be looking straight ahead and get occasional like notifications, turn left here, as a floating heads-up display in front of me that's floating out in front of the car?
What does your grandma and your parents say about this? Like, because my parents are like, put away your cell phone.
I went and visited my parents, and they didn't have any problem with it and whatnot. They were curious at first, of course, like most people are, to try it out and whatnot. But I mean, when we were growing up, we had very traditional dinners, but we didn't have cell phones back when we were growing up. So, there was no conversation like that, really, that I had with any relatives.
But so when you're sitting, like, having dinner with your family, were you, like, texting to your friends? Because that's, like, the thing that pisses off people. Like, hello, I'm standing here in front of you, and you're having a conversation with 100 other people someplace else.
Well, not texting with glass, that's for sure, when you're sitting at dinner, because you'd actually have to talk to it, and everyone would hear what you're saying. So, but if you do get a text, you can just, glance up real quick, look at it, and then it's dismissed. Versus just having it pulling it out of your pocket, look at it, put it away, pull it out of your pocket.
So when you see a text from somebody, how does that look to you? Because is it like you see it with just one eyeball, or how does that vision? How do you see it?
Okay.
Hello?
Nick?
Hello? Yes,
Hi.
I'm here.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Not a problem.
You're talking about the irony is that we're talking here about technology. Both computers that we're using both crashed simultaneously. It was like they were like talking to each other.
Glass.
It was Google Glass. As Google hit the kill switch. So the question that Mark had was, what does the interface when you receive a text look like?
Okay, so when you get any sort of notification to Glass, you get a chime. It has a bone conducting speaker that vibrates the through the inner ear, uh, and you hear the chime, and then you have the option to tilt your head up at the angle that you specify, or tap it, and then the screen flashes up. The screen never turns on by itself without you acknowledging it, so you're not ever surprised or startled.
And the screen itself is like the lens of the glass?
It's a prism that projects, it looks like about a 25-inch TV about 8 feet in front of you.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's kind of like Terminator robot kind of kill and destroy kind of thing.
I was kind of hoping it was like a red screen with, information crawling on the bottom. And it's like, then it sees a person's face and goes, age 48, status HIV negative, possible homosexual, chances of hooking up high.
Well, if he's 48.
Or whatever. Oh, so you don't like older men.
No. Anyway,
but so like
Google,
go ahead.
But Google has also banned facial recognition apps, and they're not allowing them at all to be in the Glass store. It is an Android device, so you can root it and put whatever apps you want on it. But Google's not allowing them to be allowed to be in their glassware store.
Now, why are they not? Why? What was the reason behind that?
We're sitting here talking about Google Glass, and it's a huge hot topic item. And just the device itself is way more privacy concerned than a lot of people want to experience. So you slap on facial recognition, then the story becomes even more elevated. And I don't think they're ready to hit that level yet. I think that they need the public to be more comfortable with it. And, with Facebook, at first people weren't like, oh, why are you sharing all that stuff to everybody? Now everyone just does it. They don't think about it. So in 3 years, when people don't think about Glass and that it has a camera and all this, then they throw on the facial recognition apps, and then they have a whole nother conversation, and then eventually people get over that.
Because I've been pushing Johnny Scruff to develop a facial recognition app version of Scruff. And so if you're at a bar talking to somebody, you can find out like what their sexual interests are before you even buy them a drink.
That would be handy.
But then you'd have to walk around with your phone, pointing it at people. That would be a little awkward.
And we've hung out with you in Las Vegas at a bar where you got really smashed drunk and almost got into a fight with somebody.
I don't remember that.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember that either.
And the guy was like, we were like, listen, it's just Nick. He's just, And then you actually but you got into some fights over your lifelong passion for technology and the way you use it. You lost your job because your employer said, it's like, listen, if you're going to be here, you got to take that Google Glass off. And you said no.
No, I did take it off. I just tried to question the policy and come up with reasonable accommodations, which are allowed in workplace and whatnot under certain medical laws and whatnot. But
you were trying to get the American with Disabilities Act to allow you. And in some ways, I think actually you do. Knowing you personally, I think there might be a psychological component to your interest in technology, and that maybe it's because it allows you to connect with other people in a way that interpersonally is hard for you.
My therapist would agree with you.
Oh, that's what your therapist says?
Well, not exactly, but that I do have some sort of reliance on that, yes.
But the job that fires you, they didn't say it was because of the Google Glass thing, though, did they?
They never technically fired me, and it was let go, laid off, essentially. But I was in the only two incidents that I've ever had at work were because of Glass, and because after I raised the concern and tried to, have the policy changed, because I had now prescription eyewear that was attached to Glass and wouldn't work without the Glass. They said that I took the policy personally, and that was unprofessional because I took my own personal vision and being able to use prescription glasses personally for my own vision. They said that was unprofessional. So that was the only incidents that I've ever was written up for and trouble for at work. So
are you looking for work now?
Yes, I've actually was on 2 different interviews this week, and I got another one lined up next week. So
why don't you just go to Google and say, hey, hire me as your spokesperson?
I think there might be too much negative press associated with my name in Google Glass for them to want that.
Have you heard anything from the people at Google about these incidences?
No, and people that I've talked to, Sarah Slocum is a major one, that have had incidents with Glass, have never heard from Google, and that's not really the way that they work.
Mm-hmm.
I got a letter in the mail, a nice little card saying, we appreciate you as an explorer, keep on exploring, whatnot. So,
but it was a form letter, because I imagine like if people at Google see that article, like in the Seattle Times, was it? The portrait of they don't want to hear the word Glasshole associated with their product, and it seems like if you Google the word Glasshole, your picture comes up.
Right. Well, the Seattle Times, Seattle Weekly article came out just last week.
Yeah.
And it was a follow-up. The guy had been talking to me for the last 5 months. The incident at the cafe happened back right before Thanksgiving of last year, and there was a number of articles that came out then. But this guy sat down and talked to me and talked to Brian and other people in my life and wrote this really well-detailed article about, the history of me and why I think the way I do and why I say the things I say sometimes. So.
What was like your assessment of why you do the things you do and behave in the way that you do?
Let's see. I think, where was it? I can't find the article now. I just don't have a censor, I guess, a lot of times, and say things without caring what other people are going to say. Curtis Jensen with Steamworks, he wrote a comment saying that Nick's one of those not like everyone else people, and because of that, people find that and I'm not like everyone else, and they attack me for that.
Because you actually worked with Curtis at an office, yeah. And did you guys ever like have butt heads with your use of technology in any way, or?
No, if anything, and he even mentioned in the comment that I was always helpful, that I would help him, with technology and stuff like that.
Curtis is the kind of person who doesn't know how to program a VCR. So,
I'm sure he knows how to program a VCR with the amount of television he watches. I'm sure he does. No, Curtis has said nothing but nice things about you, Nick, and your work ethic. So, there's that. But
so at least he'll give you a good job recommendation.
That don't maybe understand necessarily what we're talking about is that you often say things that are very incendiary or inflammatory, very dramatic.
On our site most recently, you were like throwing up a temper tantrum because we had the audacity to charge for our interview with Jinx Monsoon, and you were like, give it to me for free.
Right.
And I said to him, like, listen, we have to charge for these things.
Otherwise, we can't make a living.
We can't create this podcast.
And for the price of one martini, it supports the show.
And you just felt like it was, we should have made it a la carte. But then the argument is like, well, this is a magazine. You buy a magazine subscription. You can buy issues. But you can't tear the page off of a magazine. I said, I only want to read this article and then leave the rest of the magazine on the rack. They would think you're crazy.
But, at the same time, you used to buy a CD. And that's all you could get. Now you can get them 99 cents, $1.29 on iTunes. So I was just, looking for something along that line where I could just buy that one episode.
And I got to tell you, it's like the musicians don't like the fact that you can buy single tracks. Because in the old days, it used to be especially men at work, men without hats, now men without jobs. They would have the song Safety Dance on the album, and you bought the album, and the rest of the songs on the album were garbage.
All of them, pretty much.
Yeah.
You just most albums had one, maybe two good songs.
But our shows are good. All the songs on our album are hits.
Well, not all of them.
So, you've lost your job. You're looking for a job. You've gotten into a lot of trouble in the past because you were the first person to attempt suicide and tweet about it.
Correct.
How did that all play out? Because it was 2 different instances that you were suicidal.
I've suffered with depression as far as I can remember back, as far as 2nd grade, and it runs in my family. I'm not using that as an excuse, but there's been a lot of times in my life, especially with struggling with my sexuality and being able to come out, and my weight issues, and that have caused me, added depression and anxiety. And there were times that it just became too much, and I didn't have anyone to speak to. So the outlet that I had was where I could communicate with someone was, social media. And I utilized those at the time. And if I would have called someone, a friend and whatnot, or texted someone, the same results would have happened, that, there would have been someone there, or hopefully, and if that anyone ever has to go through that there's someone there for them. I just didn't have anyone close enough to me to reach out to that I felt directly. So I reached out on social media because I felt that was the closest bond that I had with some people. There's a lot of people I talk to on Twitter and Facebook I've never met and never will meet, but they're some of the nicest people, and you have great conversations with them. And I feel closer to them than I do feel people in my own life. So, and I think like that's a sign of the times, that a lot of people, I know of you guys and knew of you guys way before we ever met. And we may never have met if I would have gone to the podcast expos back in the day.
But now, do you feel like, a psychologist say that this is like classic attention-seeking behavior, that part of it is that you're looking for ways to alarm people and upset them because somehow it makes you feel like you're getting the attention that you need?
I don't think that. I think that when at the times in my life that it's been like that and I felt that, the last thing in my mind was, how many more Twitter followers am I going to get because of this? I feel so miserable and terrible right now that there's nothing in my life that I consider worthwhile. And this is the option that I wish I could take right now and want to take. I don't think that when someone gets that low, that, consciously at least, they're thinking about anything other than that thought in their head at the time.
Well, you certainly know how to use Twitter. I'll hand that to you because you have 53,000 followers, a lot more than some of those drag queens on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Well, and speaking of because you did the Twitter suicide not once but twice. First in Florida about a year after Twitter launched, and then you said you were going to kill yourself in San Francisco and throw yourself off the Golden Gate Bridge a few years later. But the police responded very quickly the second time.
Correct. And I went to the hospital and sought treatment.
And that was because they were able to respond because they have different alerts in place now. Like they have technology built in to figure out if people are planning to commit suicide. Is that how that worked?
That, and also the come to find out later that the Golden Gate Bridge is actually closed at night. So there's people specifically out looking for that at night.
Oh.
So do you think that maybe the fact that you did this thing with Twitter and there are other instances that we probably haven't brought up yet, but should we? I don't think we should, but in your life that it's like, maybe talking about this with your therapist or your friends or family or your boyfriend, say, maybe just put away the Google glasses and let this be someone else's battle.
Well, with Glass, it's become a part of who I am. I don't know if you read the article or whatnot, but
yeah,
I wear the same thing every day. I have 30 of the same shirts, 7 of the same jacket, 8 of the same jeans, and 4 pairs of the same shoes. You have 7
pairs of that black and white racing jacket?
Yes. 1 for every day of the week.
What happens if you put your keys in one of them and you hang it back in the closet? Then you're going to start going through the 7 jackets. You're like Homer Simpson, basically.
I've been described as a cartoon character many times based on how I look and dress, rather. Because Glass has become so a part of that uniform and outfit and who I am, and what defines me, that taking that away would be more detrimental, I think, than me wanting to take it away.
Do you think Google Glass is going to fail? Because people say it's too expensive, it looks awful, it pisses people off.
I think that there's a lot of great medical uses for Google Glass, and I've seen quite a many here in Seattle. Surgeons using it, and colleges using it for showing different medical procedures and stuff like that.
So it's basically like a Google. What is it? A driving app for doing open heart surgery. What happens if it's like Apple and he does the wrong turn?
How you do it?
And
right.
You're like, cut the heart out and throw it in the garbage can. And you're like, wait, that's not things. I mean, because those things basically sometimes take you in the wrong way.
I think it's more the surgeon or professor streaming to the class and showing them the surgery than someone standing there and doing it based on what someone's whispering in their ear.
It's like, turn left.
I think there's a lot of great medical uses, and I think that with other app developers that there's going to be a more widespread commercial uses for it. It hasn't been in the hands of a lot of people. It just came on sale to the public a couple days ago, and they sold out of the lot that they had. So, I mean, there is a demand for it. But
I know I'm like, where are people finding $1,500 to plunk down? Because like the first iPhone was like $400, you know. And it's like I think it's a little steep to charge $1,500. Google, if you're listening, seriously, don't be greedy.
The first iPhone was $600, but I think that they timed it well on doing it on tax day because everyone said, "Oh, I got this extra money coming back from the IRS. Might as well spend it on Google Glass."
Initially, the iPhone was $600, but they did drop the price that summer.
Yeah,
because I remember I was like, I'm not gonna pay $600 for an iPhone. Are you fucking crazy? And then when you bought the iPhone, the AT&T plan that you had to get on
was $100 or so.
It was so fucking high. It was like we were like, you're better off just buying a second computer.
But at least you had unlimited data back then.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we still have unlimited data, don't we? I think we do.
Well, on paper we do, but I think they're throttling it. So do you think, I mean, I thought $1,500 is really expensive. And then you're also, you connect that to your phone, and that's how it uploads things to the internet. Is that right?
It connects via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. So if you're at home, it's on Wi-Fi, but if you're out and about, it's on Bluetooth. If you have an Android phone, it does the tethering for free built into the My Glass app. But if you have an iPhone, you have to pay for a tethering plan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and with the iPhone, you can't do texting as well.
Oh.
That's just like, thanks, Apple. Well, what do you think about the future of all this wearable technology? I mean, Apple's rumored to come out with a wristwatch. And to me, it's like, when I see you and other people wearing this stuff, you guys look like gay Borgs. You know?
Yeah.
It's not the most flattering thing. It's like, I saw this one video that was been circulated on the news on the internet, and it's this drunk Asian woman at a bar, and she's trying to rip off the Google Glass off somebody. And she's like slurring, "You're ruining the city. You're ruining San Francisco."
That was Sarah Slocum in San Francisco. Yeah, that was at a dive bar she went to. I think that glass, that may not be the right, aesthetic look for people. But like, look at the new Samsung Galaxy Gear that just came out. It looks really cool. It's got this huge, like, bright screen display. It's curved on your wrist. It's a fitness tracker. It does like any IMs or text or emails show up on it, and you can scroll through it. I think like that some companies are starting to figure out that they don't just want a boxy watch. The Moto 360 watch is coming out. It's an Android Wear device coming out this summer, and it looks like a regular watch. It doesn't look like that Pebble watch that first came out that was boxy and clunky. And I think that they're starting to get that people don't just want the technology, they want the look and the pretty. And I think that if Apple ever does come out with some sort of wearable device, it's going to be something that people want to wear, not because of the look, not just because of the features.
I guess the situation is that a lot of people say, "Oh my God, where's our humanity gonna go?" That they feel that there's this anxious situation. People are anxious about their inability to put down their phones as it is, and now you're having wristwatches, face gear, belts, implants that you can't ever put down your ability to escape the technology, and that makes people really anxious.
So then go on vacation.
But, is there a limit to this? Are we going to basically in 100 years from now become gay robots?
Well, I think that, people 10 years ago didn't know what a cell phone was or have one, and now people can't put it down. So, but the majority of people can't put it down. So is that so wrong that, they made the device that makes you so connected that you don't want to get away from it?
Well, they're saying that a lot of kids have attention deficit disorders because of the use of smartphones and tablets. They're saying that there's a rising healthcare problem in our ability to get good night's sleep because we're sleeping with our cell phones next to us.
Well, I always mute mine at night, but...
Sorry?
I said I always mute my phone at night, but I do have my wearable tracking my sleep patterns so that I can monitor that.
And how well do you sleep?
Let's see. I can tell you right now.
I used to have one of those apps. I had it on my iPad, and I would sleep with that on the bed. But I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm going to sleep the way I sleep, whether I have a good night's sleep or not. So what do I really care?
Last night, 9 hours and 11 minutes, and 74% of that was motionless.
So, like, if it's telling you you're having a bad night's sleep, what can you really do about it?
Drink less the night before, or go to bed earlier. Get a better bed, maybe. Things that that can enhance your life. Get a Tempur-Pedic bed, and or a Sleep Number bed or something. That
have a dark room, have like the white noise.
Yeah, get blackout curtains or something like that. Or wear a mask. There's a lot of things that can enhance that. Technology can tell you information, and then it's based on for you to do something with it.
On Facebook, Andrew Ant says, "I'm old. I can't see anything near me or far away from me. How the hell are someone supposed to see this tiny screen easily?"
Well, it uses your far vision, not your near vision, actually, because it does project out in front of you. And they have now prescription glasses. And they're training doctors, eyewear doctors, on how to make the lenses so that the person can see the glass with their lens. So that top portion of the glass is a different maybe prescription or level than the rest of the glasses.
So it'd be like a bifocal or something.
Exactly, but more towards just the top and on the right side only.
It feels like Google should be saying to people, "Hey, we're doing this experimental technology, and it's an experiment. And we're releasing it in 2014, but really this is not going to mature until 3 or 4 years later down the road."
I think that they did set that expectation that, this is not something that's coming out. We want to get it out there, but we don't want to test it in a dark room all day long. We want to see how people are going to use it in the real world. And that's why they rolled it out like they did, where, just the developers at first, 2,000 of them, and then 8,000 people that said, "Hey, I'm going to do weird, cool things with it." And then from there, give those people invite their friends. And then I've had it since June of last year. It's almost been a year now before Google even opened it to anyone publicly besides friends of mine that I could invite.
And so what have you learned, or what has Google learned about in this year?
Don't give Google Glass to Nick Starr.
There's a lot of new apps now. They with the sale that they just had, they include the frames or the eye shades, the sunglass shades as an option now. Since I've got it, I think I started on like operating system 4, and now it's up to 16. Every month they've been building new updates and changing things and adding features and making the camera better or making the sound quality better. And I think that through all of our feedback through the Explorer community, that they've changed quite a bit with Glass. It's not the same thing that I had a year ago. And actually, they came out with a newer model even in that past year as well.
Juan Ramon Bañuelos Jimenez. Since I saw Bianca Del Rio as Judge Judy, I'm a fan of Judge Judy's show. So I'm wondering about the legal implications of Google Glasses. What about using them while you're driving or spying on someone? Here in Mexico, we don't have any of that kind of legislation.
Baloney.
You said you didn't buy it. You're responding to the people's comments like on Facebook before we even get to on the show.
That's multitasking for you. I see it in my glass when I'm talking to you guys, actually. I see that.
Are you literally, like, while you're doing this interview, surfing, like, the internet?
Well, no, I was just clicking around different
Talk
glass.
to me, Nick. I'm here.
I was looking for Curtis's comment earlier on the article. That's why I pulled that up.
So I guess, do you ever want, if you want to spy on somebody, what's the legality of that? I guess it's in the United States, it's prohibited and it's thrown out of court, right?
Well, if you're in public, you have no expectation of privacy.
Oh.
But if you're in a public or private, building or
at a party,
or if you're at a private building, a privately owned establishment or residence, then every state has different laws about recording and video and all that kind of stuff. So I know in Washington, you can't record audio without two-party permission.
Well, what about driving, though? Do you think that they're going to pass laws that telling people like not to drive with this thing on?
Well, there was a woman in California who got a ticket that was thrown out where had glass on because of an old, like, you can't watch DVDs on a screen kind of law that they try to use. Like I said earlier, I think it's a lot better to be looking out forward through the windshield the whole time than to be looking down at your GPS in your car somewhere. I think it's a lot less distracting that way.
Yeah.
Well, here in Chicago, it's illegal to videotape police officers doing their job.
I think they actually overthrew that. In a federal court.
Really?
I believe that's news. And I'm not sure if that's the final word on it, but it was overthrown in a federal court. The state of Illinois or the city of Chicago's ban on videotaping police officers.
I know there's a photographer here in Seattle that was taking pictures of the police and put it in the news. I think he worked for The Stranger or something like that, and it became a very big story because they were trying to smack his camera out of his hand and all that. So.
Matthew Lopez, who the hell wants your picture? On Facebook and Twitter, a simple search of your name after I learn it and search it would produce more results than you could ever with Glass. But I guess the Matthew, and to address that question is the problem that people have with it is that it's a very quick interface to do that type of search with somebody. And so if you're having a conversation with a person, it becomes kind of like Little Miss Know-It-Alls, where you're like, well, actually, Mickey Mantle is the uncle and not the cousin of drag queen Kelly Mantle.
Yeah, but you'd have to actually say, okay, Glass, Google Kelly Mantle in the conversation that you're having. That would be just ridiculous and stupid. You wouldn't want to do that. And you would be a Glasshole if you did that. So I think, it's not about having information immediately. I think one of the cool uses I use for it actually is I've listened to podcasts and various shows. I think I've listened to you guys even, and you're interviewing someone, and I had no idea who they were. Without missing a beat, I tapped my Glass, said, okay, Glass, Google Nick Starr, and bam, I got a picture of them. I see them. There's a little bio, and I'm still listening to the show and just keep walking down the street without, I think that's a really cool feature.
God, you make me want to get one now.
So
one of the other cool things that I've used with Glass as well, they have an app called Field Trip, and you're just walking around and you program in like likes and dislikes and whatnot, and it will tell you like, hey, this place is nearby, this artifact is over here. We were in Vancouver, BC, and it's like, hey, there's this restaurant called Elbow Room, and they're really rude to you, and there's these two stuck-up bitchy queens that run the place, and we're like, that sounds so much fun, let's go there. And I would have never known that if it hadn't been Glass just pinging in my ear that there's something nearby I might be interested in.
Does Google Glass help you print money? Because this thing costs a fortune.
So for the Illinois law, though, a judge did throw that out, but he said that it was unconstitutional. But I guess people are still getting arrested for it anyway.
The cops are going to do whatever they're going to do, regardless of what lawyers and courts say. Those two are not connected to each other.
No.
But at the same time, if you contest it in court, then, the police get penalized about it. James Lugo, I wonder if Google Glass is really the thing Google will go all the way with. I think it's more likely Google is using this as a platform to learn how people use wearable technology. Sort of the same way Google used their Google 411 service to later make Google Voice. Do you think Google is actually interested in making wearable technology in the long run?
I think they're interested in sparking, the start of it in a big way. They have Android Wear now, where there's going to be watches, and they have a customized Android for the wearable market. As far as them manufacturing their own, Google's never made a ton off of, selling products. They're a service company. So, but Apple has, tying the phone and the operating system all together. So maybe they're learning from Apple and saying, hey, if we do it all in-house, it's going to be a better experience for people. And I think that this is, like I said, one of the biggest advances in technology since the iPhone, and it's only going to spark innovation and along the wearable, along the portable market in a big way. And there's Samsung, you see, they have patents that they filed and stuff like that about similar devices. The Oculus Rift artificial reality device was just purchased by Facebook for $2 billion. So, I mean, stuff in your face and having like a alternate reality that you can see, or augmented reality rather. I think that's gonna, we're going there, and it's gonna happen eventually. If you look at all the movies that came out in the last 10, 20 years, they all have it already incorporated. So
you are the gay Borg. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated.
Inseminated.
Sweega's darling, I don't like the air of pretentiousness on Google Glass. How about only certain people can get it, and they're all like looking down upon you through their Google glasses?
Well, there, like I said, it was like this. They were trying out different ways to roll it out to people, and as of April 15th, everyone had the opportunity to buy it. So as long as you're in the U.S.
And you have $1,500.
Right, but at the same time, that's the cost of the technology. You know, I'm sure that they're factoring in a lot of research and development, years of that, and staff into that cost. Because I'm sure the hardware...
iPhone was the same situation. Oh, but the iPhone was subsidized by according to AT&T by your contract.
Right.
But I mean, at the same time, it's like you might need some people will be charged by their cell phone company to have the Google glasses if you have an iPhone. If
you have like a tethering plan, but you don't have to have it on all the time. You can use other features of it. There's a feature where you can look at foreign signs or foreign words, and it'll translate the word on top of like if you're looking at a stop sign in France.
I saw that, yeah.
And it will translate the word stop on the stop sign for you, which is really cool.
I've tried it on with my iPhone, because it's also an app, and it blows your mind.
Really?
Because it finds the font. And then it graphically translates what you're looking at.
In that font or
which would have been really useful when I went to China. Actually, it was like last time I'll walk into a woman's bathroom by mistake.
Exactly.
It's like the universal translator.
It was like, and it could, I can see hilarious consequences if this technology malfunctions. And I was like, why is this not on? Why is Futurama off the air? God damn it. Seriously. So Nick Starr, what is it that you feel that people misunderstand about you the most?
Let's see. I don't know. That they don't really actually they take what they have heard or hear or read, especially, and just make opinion off of that. And they don't actually get to know me. After reading the article, Brian, my partner, said it's finally time. There's something that people get to see, the Nick that he knows, and the Nick that I'm not this horrible monster. I don't go out and seek people trying to be mean to people or attention or anything like this. I'm just living my life and just want to live my life like everyone else. I'm just a normal person. I'm not like.
I'm a nice guy.
Nick, you say some pretty inflammatory things on your social media.
What do you said? Something like McDonald's N_GGE, nuggets, but it's really like N word.
Wasn't that a South Park thing?
Was that what it is? Or you were quoting South Park?
Well, didn't on South Park they said people that annoy us, N_GGERS or something like that. It was naggers.
Oh. So
what, did you think something else?
Never mind.
So it was like you were quoting South Park. Why don't you just hashtag South Park? Because a lot of people are like, Nick Starr is racist for that tweet.
Okay, so there's one person that's been trolling me since 2010. They've attacked me at my work. When I didn't have a job, they attacked me because I didn't have a job. They attacked me in my most recent job. Every single person that I've talked to on Twitter that I had some sort of potential romantic thing with, they would mention, hey, do you know Nick? He's blah, 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 all these horrific things that I'm not. And
who's this person? Like, is it somebody you met or just some person that has it out for you?
It's someone that lived in San Francisco. I can tell that based on the content that they've stated, but I don't know who they are. They have a Twitter account that they always... Once they're done with their agenda, they delete the tweets, and they're just, there's no tweets, no friends, or anything like that, and it's just an egg. So it's just the default icon.
So maybe it's an ex-boyfriend of yours.
I don't have any ex-boyfriends.
This is your first and only boyfriend you've ever had?
That's correct.
Wow. That's a lot of burden to put on somebody.
Especially dating me.
Did he know what he was getting into when he met you?
He did, actually. He actually had a lot of people when he went to San Francisco, or Seattle rather, say, oh my gosh, you got to be careful of this one guy. Even though they didn't even know, even though he had never even met me yet, there were people like warning him against me. And I saw some of the communication. And fortunately for both of us, he's not the type of person to just take what people say as fact, and got to know me and has been with me for 2 years next month.
Oh.
Any chance you would like apologize to the waiter that you know, or the manager said, listen, you know, I probably calling for you to be fired was a little bit harsh?
I did before on comments and on posts, and I've done it so many times that I can't even count. So,
but just send him like a nice, like a note, or show up in person, because it's right there where you live, right? And just say, listen, I'm so sorry. It's, you know, I had a bad day, and
it's been so long. I mean, I know it's a female. And I don't remember what she looked like really, though, or whatnot. It was a long time ago.
Well, here on the air, would you like to apologize to her if she's listening?
I'm sorry yet again.
Say it like you mean it.
Say it like you mean it.
I apologize to this person, and I think that the wording that I said was wrong, but if they were in the wrong, they should get in trouble.
Conditional apologies are not apologies. Like, you can't follow an apology with an if and because. Just say, look, I messed up. I'm sorry. And the story.
She was following what the owner wanted, and therefore she was right, and I was wrong.
There you go. That's all you needed to do. And then all this bullshit would have like, but then again, you know, we wouldn't be talking to you right now. It's like, it's part of this is like fucked up world we live in, where you sometimes have to be an asshole to get a little attention, to get a little grace and dignity with this whole thing. And I don't want to bring up the whole she-male RuPaul's Drag Race thing, but I think what a lot of gay men are having a problem with is that, you know, transgender people come across as nagging assholes, but sometimes it's like, you know, sometimes you have to be a nagging asshole to get your point across.
I guess that's true.
You know, because I know you're probably on the pro she-male camp.
I don't have an opinion either way.
You don't want to take a stab at that one. You know, right now, Chaz Bono and his grandma.
You mean Chad?
Chaz.
Oh. Chaz,
or Chad, as Trinity K. Bonet says, that he was such a bad guest, and his grandma were such terrible guests on RuPaul's Drag Race. Fans of the show have launched a petition to never have them on the show again.
Because Chaz has been on a couple of times, right?
Yeah, it's like 3 times. It's one of the most common RuPaul's Drag Race guests.
Well, because his documentary Becoming Chaz was also created by World of Wonder, so I think they just kind of want to keep that in the whole family there.
That's why. And they were like, people are pissed off about it. They said that they found it quite shady that they never corrected Trinity on the whole Chad thing until the runway. And that wasn't fair.
They should have said, excuse me, my name's Chaz.
And, you know, it's like, I wonder, it's, you know, Chaz Bono kept complaining that his mom didn't pay for his top surgery. And even though it's like, they're both swimming in money, you know? I don't know. I'm not, like, people are just, they're like, don't get me started. This was one Gay Bacon Strips on Reddit said, I honestly found the whole thing quite embarrassing for Georgia and Chaz. Chaz's most defining and arguably only feature of his life has been his transition, and he treated the queens who asked about it like a sullen child with his arms crossed. They were respectful and trying to glean something about his life, and as a supposedly a masthead of the trans community, you'd think he would have taken the opportunity to open up, rather than giving one-word bullshit answers.
Yeah, he was a very difficult person to interview.
I wouldn't have him on the
basically,
podcast.
I mean, he comes off like a turd. He really does. Like, that's the kind of person, like, I fear having to interview somebody like that just doesn't give you anything, isn't playful. Like, listen, you ask stupid questions sometimes just to see what their answer is going to be and see how they're going to respond to that.
Have you ever heard Paris Hilton interviewed? She's the same way. It's just, like, she doesn't care, and she just one words, and it's bad interview.
I know. It's like you want ideas, you want topics to discuss. You want things happening, and when you treat somebody like that, or you're offended by everything that they say, or they don't get me, it's just like part of your job as a guest is to be relatable. So
it's to have fun, hence
which
face
you
of
are,
fun. Yeah,
which
you are a good guest. You know, I want to just go because we're running out of time. I want to go through the news with you.
One thing the shemale thing, by the way, we went to the Ben de la Creme's been having viewings here, and when the shemale competition, mini competition came up, she actually said at that time that she didn't think that was appropriate and whatnot. So like.
She actually did raise doubts about it when the competition was happening.
Right. Yeah.
She said something to the producers there.
Well, she said something to the producers, but then she also to the crowd at the viewing party. She said how she thought it was offensive and she didn't appreciate that term.
Well, as soon as it came up, I was just like, oh my God! I said this is gonna blow up and it's gonna be huge.
And Bianca Del Rio should be like, are you stupid? Why do you think this is a good idea?
Who's going to win this season?
Yeah,
Bianca Del
Rio's already won.
We used to say Courtney Act, but it's I think that the way you see the editing is just it's all Bianca,
Yeah. I just hope Adore doesn't get in the top 3.
You
Why?
don't? She was lovely.
I think I'm more Team Ben than Adore. I think
Ben. Ben's one of my close friends.
She
lives in Chicago for a long time. I want him to do super well. I just with the editing the way it's set up, I just don't see Ben being in the top 3. I want to be wrong because I'm on a root for my friends, but Adore Delano is equally deserving of being in the top 3.
I found her to be very sweet and very charming, and just she can talk a mile a minute, which I really love that about a person.
But I definitely think the last 4 is going to be Adore, Ben, Courtney, and Bianca,
without a doubt.
Yeah,
and I was surprised that Delta.
Darien Lake.
Yeah.
They portrayed her as such a bitch, huh?
I am so glad that people have called her out, though. The drag queen finally called her out on Untucked.
Oh, they have been. Well, I think they've been waiting for that.
You're a shady elephant.
Well, because it kind of almost seemed like her criticism of Ben really appears to me to come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, are you jealous of him because he's the other, not skinny queen? I don't know.
The old queen.
Like, what's happening?
And Ben's not that old. It's
31. Yeah.
So there's Fox has remade Joe Millionaire. I don't know if you remember that reality TV show.
Yeah.
So the premise was it was one of those dating reality TV programs where 12 women have to win over a sexy, handsome millionaire, only to reveal at the very end that the millionaire is just a poor, average man. And in this, they're doing it with they tell the women that they're going to be meeting a British royal who's looking to get married.
Isn't it Prince Harry?
And so they hired a Prince Harry lookalike who sounds and looks like Prince Harry, and the women bought it.
Oh my.
So they're all like, oh my God, it's Prince Harry, yeah!
I can't wait to see how stupid ththese women are.
I'm surprised that they didn't spend a lot of money like on drowning insurance so they wouldn't drown in the shower, some of these women. Because it's just like, I mean, how stupid can you be to like think that an imposter is Prince Harry? But maybe if the TV cameras and the settings right, you believe anything.
And I think also, too, when you watch the original Joe Millionaire, and I totally had a crush on Joe because he was so fucking sexy.
Hot, yeah.
He was so hot. And that woman he ended up with was just kind of, she was like...
frumpy.
Well, she not likable. She didn't seem like a very likable person. So.
Nick, do you go to any like fancy high... because there's so many rich people in San Francisco now, but you live in Seattle.
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
And I guess that's kind of the same situation there. Is like they're two tech meccas with huge disparities between people's incomes. Do you go to like any rich people's parties that are like they're flushing Google Glass down the toilet for laughs?
No,
Will
not
it
like
blend?
That.
Will it
like
blend
that.
Google Glass?
There's a guy named George who created the Universal Life Church.
Yeah.
Where you get ordained online. He has huge New Year's and 4th of July parties where tons of the gays show up. So
have you gone to it?
Yeah, I think most of them, since I've lived here.
And what was your thought about it?
it's just it's a little lavish, and there's lots and lots of alcohol and catered food and entertainment and whatnot, and it's a fun time. But at the same time, you're like, okay, well, do you really need to spend this much money to get this many gay guys over here?
We crashed Sam Zell's birthday party. He's a billionaire who used to own the Chicago Tribune, and man, they just like flushed down money down the toilet on so many ridiculous things.
Well, he's got so much money. He's just like, let's make it fat. He does a party like every other year or something. And
it's like at an abandoned, warehouse, and they have like circus acrobats and fire eaters and fireworks and food on naked chicks' bodies and just every decadent cliche that a billionaire would have at a party is
in San Francisco. There's a lot more of that with all of the startup money and all that kind of money flowing in and stuff. There's so many just extravagant parties that you're like, what the heck is going on? Where are they getting all this money, and why aren't they using it for talent or more servers or something like that? They're just throwing it on parties.
Well, if you go to like South by Southwest, which I think
Same
you have,
thing.
right?
Yeah.
You see all those people with those tech parties. They're like, oh my God, I went to Mashable's party or BuzzFeed's party. I got so drunk, blah. And I was like, why are you here? Like, why are you at this conference? It was like, because my boss wanted me to learn more about social networking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, because going to a tech conference and getting plastered drunk at a rich company's party.
That's why people get these jobs, though, so they can't do that.
They're alcoholics. Everybody who's running the tech industry are a bunch of drunks.
That's where I started drinking as much as I do. It was in San Francisco.
Have you curbed back on it? Because you were telling me that it was like worrying you.
Well, we just drink socially now. We have a bar at our house. Actually, we have vodka on tap.
Tap?
Yeah, we've got this.
What, you hooked it up to your refrigerator?
You have like a kegerator for vodka?
Something like that. It's this giant thing of vodka, and it's chilled and whatnot. So, but we just have a couple of drinks at night and then go to bed and whatnot. We don't can't remember the last time I've been drunk.
There's a young man who's come forward suing X-Men director Bryan Singer for sexually abusing him as a teenage boy. And he did so at one of Bryan Singer's notorious lavish parties.
Did I read that there were more people that came out on that as well?
Have there more people have come forward? No, I didn't know that yet.
I'm not sure if I read that or not.
I'll look some more. I mean, his parties, like in these pool parties in California, have been, famous. People have been talking about them for years. That there was always young men, there was lots of drinking, there was drugs at these parties. But this boy is saying that at the age of 15, he was doing stuff with him. And at one point in time, Bryan Singer took him and forced him to give him head underwater in the jacuzzi, which I think is that's pretty brutal.
Well, that's typical of Bryan.
Well, we don't know, but
he kept saying I want to get inside you, trying to talk like Professor Xavier.
Oh my!
And it's like, so I don't know. It's like,
and then it promises him roles in movies, that kind of thing. Now people are saying that's how Taylor Lautner got his career is from dating him. And what age was that? 15, 16? These kind of rumors have been around.
But if you ever get cast in an X-Men movie, make sure it's a superhero that's sexy and not like the frog guy, or the one whose face is all scarred and messed up.
So we'll see how this trial goes. Now, I think it might be the statute of limitations might be over, so for criminal charges, but I don't know if he's suing him for money.
Yeah.
And how are you going to prove it this many years later? Did he save the cum?
Well, and part of it is kind of the same thing that happened to Kevin Clash with the.
It's the same lawyer.
Oh, it is?
It's the same lawyer behind it, too. So there you go.
Well, what about the guy in Pennsylvania, the football guy? I mean, it's been decades since a lot of his victims were molested.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them got settlements because it was very obvious. Jerry Sandusky, it was very obvious that it had happened, and the guy is going to jail for it too, right?
Right.
So Michael Alec, party monster, club kid from New York City, is up for, I guess he's going to get out of jail in May. So very shortly, a lot of people are asking us, are you going to interview him? And I'd love to talk to him about those days and what his life has been like in prison. So maybe we will. We'll see. Part of me is just kind of creeped out about the whole thing.
If I interviewed him, it would be over the phone and not in person.
Oh God, I wouldn't. Why would you?
Well, we're actually next week we're doing a show on gay villains, and your name will be brought up. Is Nick Starr guilty or innocent of being an asshole, a monster? You guys decide. Peaches Christ is going to be our Judge Judy and executioner. And she's going to be weighing in on some of the most famous and infamous gay men who are hated and despised by other gay men in the public for one reason or another. So we're excluding serial killers and people who have died. So these are the currently living non-serial killer gay men who, for one reason or another, are controversial or despised or hated upon, ourselves included. And
not me.
Well, yeah, Mark's loved and adored.
The dog is like at my feet right now, just like
cuddling. You're like Jesus, like birds swirl around you and
get over here, dog.
But and so we're gonna find out who do you think is like a misunderstood gay villain?
Let's see. I don't know. Anderson Cooper gets a lot of back hate and love, I think. Perez Hilton.
Oh, for sure.
For sure, yeah. He actually messaged me wanting to have bareback sex once. I was like, I'm past, thanks.
Did he want a top or bottom?
I didn't get that far.
Oh, you gotta listen. When people, when celebrities hit on you, you ask them questions, you get photos, you figure out what's going on, you get all the dirt.
Oh yeah, honey.
I did get photos.
You did?
But it was pre him losing a lot of weight.
Oh, so. Okay.
That's even better, I think. I liked him when he was fat. I just want to say I like Perez Hilton better when he was like online bully and then he was fat. I don't like him today now.
Villain.
What? We can talk about him.
Villain.
He's a villain. But well, actually, that'll be on Tuesday's show with Peaches Christ. And also Milk, the drag queen, and Kelly Mantle will be here kikiing in the home studio. Don't miss that one. And it's all part of Premium Feast of Fun Plus subscription. We earn our pennies that we get from you guys. And Nick, it's a pleasure having you on the show.
Likewise, it's great talking to you guys again.
Good luck getting a job. Congratulations on having a 2-year relationship with your boyfriend.
Yeah,
that's great.
Thank you.
And him not killing you.
Right, we're going to Mexico to celebrate.
Awesome.
Wow, that's nice. Are you going to bring your Google glasses to Mexico?
I certainly am.
And snapshots and stuff. If people want to like follow like all the things that you take pictures off with Google Glasses, where do you mostly wind up posting them?
I post all the pictures that I take with glass. I have a specific folder for them on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Nick Starr.
Okay, so people can follow you on Facebook, Nick Starr, and see all his mundane photos.
Or not so mundane.
I'm like, let me just, before we get off the phone here, I'm going to take a little peek here with you.
A lot of them are drag queens.
Oh, so I'm looking here. It's like food, another person videotaping you.
Are you obsessed with drag queens, Nick?
We go to a lot of shows. My partner is interested in getting into drag, and he's started to go that route. So, I'm very supportive of him and what he wants to do.
Are you going to do drag too? I think you'd make a pretty lady.
No, I wear the same thing every day. I'm not going to change that.
A little wig might get you out of your shell.
No, I'm good.
Nicolina, don't knock it till you try it, hunty.
And if you click on the album called Google Glass Vignette, it actually it shows you what Google Glass looks like when you're looking through it. So you can take a picture and it shows what's also displayed on glass at the same time. And those are some really cool pictures to get people to actually see what glass is like and what it looks like when you're actually out in the real world.
Yeah, I've seen that. I'm looking at some of your things and it's like, so it kind of like darkens the area around it?
Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of like shadowing,
How does it able to darken the image?
Well, it doesn't do that when you're looking through it, but on this photo, it looks like that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's just a shadow effect that they add afterwards.
Ah, okay. So the only way for it to show you something is to highlight it. Because when I first heard about it, I thought it was just basically like an extension of the screen of your smartphone.
No, it's its own screen. It's its own like little 25-inch screen in front of you, it just floats out there, and you can see the edges of the screen.
Your boyfriend's really cute.
I think so.
I was like, good job, baby.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Nick Starr. The time has come for you to stop podcasting. I just want to remind you that your glass is always half full.
Now sashay away.
Now, yes.
Bye, Nick.
Take care, gentlemen.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nick Starr lives in Seattle, Washington, and you can follow Nick Starr on Facebook, facebook.com/Nick Starr, or on Twitter, twitter.com/Nick Starr, and hopefully he will not be, and I think his life is going pretty good right now, so he will not be committing suicide on social media anytime soon.
You know, because otherwise you could do a drinking game. How, like, anytime he tweets that he's going to kill himself, have
Well, he only did it twice, so he wouldn't be very drunk.
And
that
it's a very
years
long
ago.
game.
Yeah.
It's in it for the long tail.
And listen, we don't want to, laugh at anybody's pain and suffering. No. Suicide is a very serious and real thing. If somebody, even jokingly, contemplates or talks about killing themselves, take it seriously and ask for help.
There's help out there.
The more you know. Does this qualify as satisfying the terms of my parole officer? Because those celebrities, the more you know, like half of the reason they do them is because they got arrested with a DWI.
Oh, that's not true.
And the judge is like, you got to do some public service announcements now. And they're like, kids, don't do drugs. Drugs are for losers, not winners.
Let's get our weekend started, shall we?
Let's get it started. People, thank you so much for listening to this fabulous podcast. I hope it was as fascinating and fun for you as it was for us.
I want to remind folks, too, that we can't do the show without your support. So if you're not a Plus member yet, please sign up at feastoffun.com/plus because your contribution makes this show happen. We also have t-shirts for sale at feastoffun.com/store. Get your hunty t-shirt today. Wear it proudly at the bar. Before the season ends, people will see you with that on and be like, that's a shirt I want.
I know, honey. It was like, you can't be funty right if you don't wear your hunty.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.